After 6 long hours, the story has finally begun in the Rings of Power. And what a story it is. In fact, I think we have had every movie story ever told to us in the last hour. We have Horse. Horse wishes to find Master. We have Blind Queen. We have society burned to ground. We have evil priests. We have had literally every single story ever told badly. My question is why?
Well, you see, they're trying to tell an epic. And the thing about epics, right, is that there are a multitude of great stories all built into one great journey. And so what they did is they put that idea into an algorithm or a computer and were like, all right, spit out the best thing you can make a thing. And so it's like, okay, so like you got a queen, she's super strong, super powerful, but she's blind. You're like, okay, so she don't want to show that she's blind. All right, I get you, I'm feeling you. And then 5 seconds later, she's like, all right, she's fine with showing everyone she's blind. She doesn't really care anymore, and we're moving on past that. It's like, oh, okay. Okay. We're just gonna drop that. Like you built this up, you set this up, and now we've forgotten that was an entire point as to why she was trying to put up the facade that she wasn't blind. Now she's wearing a literal blind over her face, as if it wasn't more obvious.
See, Kyle is missing point, which is bad for Kyle, and he'll be chastised for it. Because the issue here is, I don't know if it's necessarily the algorithm, although that might be part of it as well. It is simply that they keep thinking of things that they've seen in other shows, like they've seen other pieces of television, or they've read this in books or stories, and they're just gonna do that. So the scene you were referring to is, after the volcano explodes, the queen is blind, and there's a little scene where it's like, oh, when will we be out of this fog? And dude just looks at it like, my queen, we've been out of it for hours. Are you retarded? And you realize, oh, she's blind. And she's like, oh, just go on, lead the horse. No one need know that I'm blind. Okay. Makes a lot of sense. She's keeping morale up by not showing her weakness. Cool. But then in the next scene, she's wearing a blindfold. Like, it's... The entire preceding scene was done just because they read that in some other story and thought, that's great. But after that, they completely forgot about it, and now she's wearing a blindfold because you need to remember that she's blind. Or maybe because the actor just couldn't stare ahead properly. Like, she kept looking at things like, bitch, stop.
Having a difficult time keeping the... Like, you see a fly buzzing around, like, ugh.
It is the consistent failure to attend to basic details. Right. Halbrand is discovered, and he's basically dead on the side of the road, and there's an enormous gash in his side that has turned sour, so it's clearly been infected, and Galadriel, only elven medicine can save him. So he's dying. He's bitch-ass dead. If he doesn't get magical plot medicine, his ass is grass. And then they put him on a horse and they ride away at full gallop because he can survive that.
Yep.
Like, it's so dumb. Like, they don't put him on a cart or something, or carry him carefully, or bring along a bunch of dudes to carry his bed or something. No, they just trot. They don't even trot
perfectly
away.
Healthy.
No.
Okay?
They gallop. They fucking gallop.
Full speed, they're ready, they're going. This scene it's not told from a sense of thinking about what's actually happening narratively. It's more told from a sense of trying to think of the theatric aspect of it. Like, they're galloping, they're riding off into the sunset, quite literally. And it comes across as stupid if you think about it. It's the same with the 3 ships, that carry 300 men and a good 100 horses. It's not, and all the supplies. It's not really rational. It's because it looks cool. It looks more symbolic as a small force against an imposing doom.
Now, Dev had a very interesting theory about how they stacked all of those people in there, but it's far too racist to repeat here.
Yeah, we don't want to do anything racist now, do we?
Yeah, fucking Dev. Jesus Christ, that was a horrible idea.
Yep, you'll have to see Dev's video for the full details on his hatred.
Bigotry. It was disgusting and shocking.
Dev, really is a different man sometimes.
Truly. But that's not even the only thing. Like, this entire episode was nothing but this. Like, in the preceding episode, we pointed out the armor, where Galadriel suddenly has her armor again. But this episode, it's just scene after scene after scene of this shit. Like, the evil priests of Melkor show up, and the Harfoots are like, you're evil and shit. And they're like, yeah, let's set your shit on fire. And they do. They set the entire Harfoot encampment on fire, but not a single Harfoot die. Not one. Because all of the Harfoots were like, yes, in this scene, our village burns to the ground, so nobody be in their carts.
We have to be conveniently nearby, so we're all running to the scene like, oh no, our food!
And it's in the middle of the night too. They should be sleeping inside of these carts as they burst into flame, but no, not a single one of them.
Nope, don't worry about it. The Harfoots were safe. We couldn't have any Harfoots die because Harfoots aren't really meant to die on scene. Like, it's okay for humans and elves and orcs, but Harfoots are... We don't kill them because we didn't kill the hobbits, you know? And we don't want to do that. That's a step too far.
A fire. Oh, God. So, Dev's theory is that the people making the show are simply just very, very stupid. And I don't deny that they're probably very, very, very stupid. But it is also just the lack of attention to detail. Like, okay, Mount Doom explodes, and it creates cinders and ash and heat powerful enough to have wood spontaneously combust, right? This cloud of ash is so hot that it sets wood alight. But the people survive just fine. Well, all of the named characters survive just fine. Then you've got a handful of extras just scattered throughout the burning debris, like, you're not very important. Lie down over there.
Yep. It's just... this episode in particular, I feel like this episode in particular really highlights how dry the story is, because when it all came together, it amounted to a jumbled mess of garbage.
It amounted to a series of very clearly not thought out scenes. Again, okay, so the dwarves as well, and God, another one. Every single fucking plot line has been ruined this episode, and there wasn't a whole lot to ruin, yet they managed. So the dwarves, they go to the king, and Elrond is like, so my people are really addicted to crack cocaine. If you don't dig it out of the rock, we're just gonna fucking die. Because apparently that's the thing now. It's no longer a wasting disease. They're dead. Like, and they're dead soon, apparently, judging by the show here. And the king's like, well, you know, I don't really care if you all die, so, you know, croak somewhere else. First and foremost, why? Why? Okay, so the king is afraid that the mountain will crumble, right? Because the Mithril is clearly unstable. Okay, makes sense. But now an entire species is gonna die unless you dig it up, and you're still like, nah.
No,
Why?
I'm not gonna do it. Why? It's your powerful ally. They offer you 5 years of like all these things, or 500. No, 5 centuries.
5 centuries of free food and resources.
5 centuries of free food and resources to build and prosper off of. An offer that even the other dwarven lords were like, holy shit. Like, they were like, we're gonna take these. And then he's like, no, I'm not gonna do it because I'm evil and old and my conservative values are bad. And I'm gonna instead, you know, and then his son has a whole tangent about like, no, I gotta help my friend, don't want him to die. Gets busted. And then boils down to, I revoke your titles. I'm gonna give it to one of the other princes or one of the other lords. And I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, he's gonna give it to another prince or lord, and they're gonna take that offer immediately upon their succession. They're like, okay, whatever.
Like, it's stupid because he has no real reason to say no. Like, there's been one cave-in in which nobody died. Like, there's no reason for the dwarves to go like, oh yeah, no, this is impossible. We could never dig here. But then, this has to turn into a whole thing where Durin has to violate the king's command and go dig by himself with Elrond, and then obviously get found out because the king just happened to be down there and be like, why did you do this? And that dude, like, oh god. Alright, so Durin does this, and they find the secret Mithril Mithril Haven, where the Mithril is just easily available. Like, it's exposed on the surface of the rock. You could literally just pull a rope ladder down and get all of it, right? And the king just walks by, and he's like, "What are you doing down here?" Nothing.
Patrol the random depths of our minds for no reason.
And all of this could also be avoided because the king is old. Like, now, dwarves are long-lived, like a couple hundred years. But compared to the elves, this is fucking nothing. They could just wait for his ass to croak, and they'd be fine again. But no, it is forced conflict for conflict's sake, even though the conflict makes absolutely zero sense.
But it's the idea that the plague or of the tree thing will kill everyone. Because they're immediately showing, like, look, the tree is now completely black. Like, we only got, like, a week left, we're all dead. Like, they're trying to ramp up the stakes and tension by going like, oh, they gotta do it now or the elves are all gonna die. And it's super dumb because it's like, firstly, that doesn't make any sense with the canon. And secondly, like, it's all contrived. Like,
Yes.
The elves need to die and they have to die, like, super quickly, so that way that there's like, we gotta do it now or we're gonna die in like next week. It's like, okay.
Like, this shit was made up of a whole cloth, and it's so goddamn sudden. Like, it is literally from one moment to another, and suddenly the elves are all gonna die unless they get their crack. Like, it's so bad. And then he takes away Durin's goddamn title, so now Durin has to do something stupid. And then the Balrog is revealed. And why was the Balrog awakened? Was it because the dwarves dug too deep, too greedily? No, it was because this old retard then returns to the mine to throw a leaf into it. And then the leaf goes, it's on its ridiculous path, lands before the Balrog, and Balrog, leaf!
They got super triggered by the leaf. I was like, it's for me and I'm gonna kill people now.
It's so stupid. And the only reason that happened is because they were like, well, we gotta have the Balrog in there somewhere. Again, it's just a bunch of fucking retarded plot. The horse. I fucking hate the horse. I fucking hate the horse. The fucking horse. So we had one scene where the horse is like neighing at Isildur. It's like, bitch, I'm wounded, help me. And Isildur's like, why are you bitching? You've only got like a 30 centimeter fucking sword wound in your side, horse. Like, calm down. And then Daddy comes up and goes like, listen, you and the horse will form an enormously tight bond. It's wounded, you're laughing at it. You'll be friends in no time. And they drag the horse the entire way back to base camp, which they set up in the mountains. We didn't see that, but they've got a base camp in the mountains because reasons. And they're like, the horse won't listen to us. They've dragged the horse for days across the mountain. And now suddenly the horse won't listen. And oh my god, and so he takes off its bridle and strokes his muzzle a little bit, and then he just runs off into the sunset to find Miesta. It's like, Miesta! It's like, It's literally one of those pet movies from the 90s. It's like they watched Lassie before making this, and it's like, wouldn't it be cool if the horse was Lassie?
Yep, they're also trying to re-encapsulate that same scene with Aragorn. Like, it's a lot of creative bankrupt stuff, like member berries and all that. And in Two Towers, there's a scene where the horse, Aragorn's horse, returns to go find him. And they're basically doing the same thing. Like, the horse is going to go find Aragorn. AKA Isildur. It's one of those things where they don't really have anything new in the show, and they try to execute old ideas in a weird, disjointed mess of a story, and they do it so half-heartedly and so poorly that they completely misunderstand the reason why those things happen, like the horse's loyalty to Aragorn, like arriving after he had, fallen off the cliff and into the river.
It is all paint by fucking numbers. These showrunners are talentless fucking hacks. The priests of Mordor show up, right? And the little Harfoot girl is like, oh, hello, you look friendly. And they're not friendly. And they set fire to their village, and then they just fucking leave. They just leave. It's such a random thing. You've got these evil people in their retarded-looking armor, and they found a bunch of Harfoots, and they're like, okay, we're just gonna set fire to their houses. Nothing more. They're not gonna kill them. They're not gonna attack them. They're not gonna interrogate them, because the Harfoot goes like, oh no, he went over there. Like, surely, if they're hunting for this wizard or Sauron or whoever the fuck he is, surely they were doing like, okay, tell us more, little Harfoot. Like, this is valuable information. No. They just burn the village and then they move on. Like, it makes no sense. And it only happens so that Daddy Harfoot later on can make an inspiring speech and go like, listen, we're Harfoots. We're really good against adversity, okay? Like, we're a super tough species. Like, and they're not. Like, the Daddy Harfoot, he sprained his ankle, like a non-lethal problem. He sprained his goddamn ankle, and the entire village is like, well, he's dead. Leave him behind to starve. But we could just carry him
leave him
out.
to die. And it wasn't until the big guy showed up as to why they brought him with. And so they bring out this whole speech as to why they can save the Harfoots and like, oh, us Harfoots are hardy folk, we stick together. And they're nodding like, yeah, we never leave any of our own behind.
Yeah. No matter how
It's like,
steep the hill is, we'll survive. No, you don't.
literally said like an episode ago, you don't do that you leave people for dead, and that's often like a death sentence.
You have a book about people left behind who have died. It's so incredibly dumb. And again,
Harfoots were good people.
if this guy had fallen and fucking just snapped his leg, right? The bone was sticking out through his shin or something, then maybe, you know, that might get infected. He's probably gonna die. All right. But no, he's sprained his ankle. They could literally just put him on a cart.
He's got to pull the cart.
Exactly, and now he's making a speech like, we never leave anybody behind. We're Harfoots. We're very hardy people. Like, oh.
You're not. You're very weak.
It's
Honestly,
so.
it looks like they're going extinct. There's so few of them left.
It's so annoying. And again, it's just the complete lack of attention to detail. Like, they don't remember what they themselves wrote in episode. They also mention, okay, they're picking apples because a wizard made apples magically appear, and they're going like, wow, we can take these apples to the market. What fucking market?
Market. You guys trade with other people? They literally established in previous episodes that, oh no, big folk, we don't like big folk. We just isolationists. We don't like interacting with other people.
Yeah.
Oh, I can go to market with me apples now. It's like,
Yeah.
writers, do you take notes on the shit you write? Like, do you write anything down about the factions or people? Or do they just do whatever it is on a whim because you're like, all right, now it's time for us to be like, oh, they're prosperous. Let's show out they're prosperous. I'm going to take these apples to market and I'm going to be rich. It's like, okay.
Yes. It's like, I hate it. Again, it is just a thorough lack of attention to basic detail. What, are there more Harfoot tribes? You haven't shown it. Are there many traveling communities? Do they meet up in places? Do they have trade markets? What?
Yes, they really don't. They don't do the world building here is shallow,
There's
and
this-
it tries to use this in Tolkien's framework, and it pisses all over it on top of it.
There's this other retarded scene too, where the little Harfoot is just sitting there, and she's sharpening a wooden wheel with a rock. Why? Why is she doing this?
You know, it's the same scene. You remember in the first episode where Galadriel's just like pulling on a rope? It's the same. It's the same
Yes.
crap. They've been doing it throughout it. Like, hey, do something with the environment. And she's like, picks up, like, here's a rock, here's a wheel. Like, pretend you're sharpening the wheel. Sharpening? No, like, you're making it round, you know, so that it spins better. Oh, okay.
You know, she's just sitting there rubbing a rock on a wheel. Again, you actually nail it on the head there. It's when Galadriel was just pulling on the random ropes. She's like, do something that makes it look like you know what you're doing.
It was pain, wasn't it? And it shows too, because this show has no care for the detail, the little things, like we always talk about, the little things that give it soul. It has none of it. It's just, it feels like it's made by a machine, doesn't it?
Like, it actively disregards. Okay, so, right, there's the other scene, right, where other Harfoot person is in the river, like, finding water. So they're scooping up water in their little fucking retarded wooden buckets, and you can very clearly see the scale of the wooden bucket compared to the Harfoot, right? And the Harfoots are tiny. And then she sees a footprint, leaves the bucket behind, for reasons, so that the bucket can slowly go downriver and be found by the priest of Melkor. And suddenly, the bucket's not small anymore. suddenly the bucket is just a normal bucket.
Yep. Because they forgot, they were so fucking lazy, they couldn't make a duplicate bucket smaller to show the difference between Harfoot and human sizes. Like, talk about a perfect opportunity to demonstrate the size differentials between the bucket. That would have been such a nice attention to detail. That would have given that little spark of soul, that little, little tiny detail. But they don't care. None of this shit adds up. It's all done because it looks cool. Like Galadriel and Haladrin, or whatever the fuck his name is, riding off into the sunset. It's because it looks cool, not because it makes sense. With his gaping wound on his side and his gut spilling out.
And again, like, the bucket too, right? Okay, making a bucket out of a whole piece of wood is not actually that goddamn easy. You're gonna have to start with a fucking log. You're gonna have to chop the log up into pieces. Then you're going to have to hollow that piece out, and then you're also going to need to make the rope for it and make the little handles for it. And they've even made little patterns into it. They've prettied up the bucket. That bucket is actually relatively valuable.
It's an heirloom.
Well, no, not quite, but
to their society.
But this is nevertheless a relatively valuable item, and there's no reason for her to leave it behind. It's not like the bucket's gonna slow her down. It's not gonna delay her bringing word to the village, and she just leaves it. And she leaves it only so that we can have that scene with them picking it up. God.
Yep.
It's so bad. It is so just... And it's steeped in it. Every single plot line has been just ruined. And Mount Doom too. Okay, right. So the episode is named The Eye, which is just Galadriel's bloodshot little eye. And then they have a scene where Ada is more walking around with the orcs, and they're like, this is our home now, because you see, orcs are immune to ridiculous heat and ash and shit, and this is home now. No. First and foremost, no. The orcs shouldn't be allowed. The orcs are all free. The orcs are all armed again, and the orcs are all organized again. There were 10 orcs left at the end of last episode, after the battle. There were 10 orcs corralled somewhere. Now there's tons of orcs again. Oh, God. But anyway, this was all a plot to cover the land in ash so that the sun wouldn't shine down. First, I'm not even gonna point out that that's not how Sauron does it. The orcs can't move in sunlight because of ash. It's fucking magic. That's what it is. And then you're the Lord of the Southlands. No, it's not the Southlands anymore. The Southlands is a place long gone. Then what do we call this place, my lord? And they don't say it. Instead,
oh God, yeah.
They paint it on screen. It's Southlands, and then they rub it out. Mordor, right?
I still want somebody to add the eraser sound. They erase it out like we said on stream.
That would actually make it better. Just add in a comedic sound effect, Mordor.
Just gotta make the little scribbling down as it writes it out. It's that was so lame too. It says Southlands and then the transitions to Mordor. It feels like I'm playing a video game, a low budget one. That's and you're now entering the new zone, Mordor zone. It's okay. I'm
wondering if the showrunners thought they were being clever here. If they were thinking that people were sitting here 7 episodes later and the Southland, I don't know where this is. And then oh my God, it was Mordor all along.
Oh my God, it's almost like we've established it was Mordor from the beginning because they mentioned that the people here were fighting alongside fucking Sauron and stuff. But it's so dumb too because now they've just insinuated that so when Sauron was there was no volcano or lava activity.
Again,
made it.
That's the problem. We talked about this with Dev and everybody else, but
yep.
Dev brought up a good point. What they could have done here is just have a magical artifact. Not the fucking retarded sword who's just a key, but you have a artifact, and there's a legend around it. When this gets the blood of men on it, and blah, 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 the land will be covered in darkness, and that can activate the volcano. Okay. Cool. Because the volcano was made by Mordor. Like, this is one of the things about Lord of the Rings. Like, volcanoes aren't really created by tectonic activity. Like, volcanoes are evil shit. Like, Morgoth made Mount Doom. And if you'd done it then like that, at least there would be mystery around it. At least Mount Doom would have been created through some mystical means, magic. Like, it is a product of evil. Instead, it's a product of fucking water. Like, steam.
And demystifying it completely.
Exactly, and that's not the point. Like, everything doesn't have to be realistic. This is fucking Lord of the Rings, and it's not just Lord of the Rings either. This is the age of myth, you know? This is the height of the elves and the dwarves, an age of magic. Like, Mithril too. Mithril should not be some kind of like, oh my god, what's this? This should be the age in which they're actually able to make Mithril. This is the age in which they made that Mithril chainmail that Frodo was wearing. This is the age of magical weapons and incredibly mighty characters. This is the age of the high men. Instead, we just have the fucking Númenóreans who get wiped out by the volcano, and then like, we must go home now. We have been defeated by the mountain.
It's just talentless. Like we mentioned before, this whole show, this whole series, it's pointless. Like, the reason why they're doing it is because they want to fucking milk the shit out of the IP and the brand, so they can sell toys, so they can sell merchandise, so they can sell shows, and so they can premiere their new television, or not television, what do you call it? Their new filming studio, Amazon Studios.
But it's so, again, like, it is so thoroughly bad. Like, that's what impresses me. That is what impresses me. Like, it is the dedication to shit that is so very, very impressive. Like, none of these storylines make sense. None of these storylines are functional. None of the, like, the writers themselves don't remember their own plot points from scene to scene. Like, okay, strong queen is brave and ignores her injuries so as to not frighten her people. Okay, cool. Next scene, she's wearing a blindfold. Like, oh my god, it triggers me.
They can't even be asked to pay attention. Not only do they have the audacity to just, you know, fucking dismiss the actual lore itself and piss all over it with all the things they've done, but then they have the gall to just simply forget their own bullshit they made up. They can't even keep their own dumbass story straight. And that's a hallmark of both incompetence and malice at the same time.
Oh yeah, like, this is absolutely, there's absolutely fucking malice in this. Like, I don't think you can make something this bad without trying to.
Well, they're certainly fucking trying.
But
I think
every storyline, every single one is like this. Like,
yep.
Even the dwarves, which used to be a bit of the highlight, is now just shit. The worst part is, okay, I liked Disa because she was this incredibly bubbly, charming little fat woman, right? She was like, oh, like, okay, cool. She has some energy there. She looks like she wants to be there. She's now Grima Wormtongue too. Like, there's this scene where she's sitting next to Durin going, you know, your dad's a real cunt, right? You should probably stab him in the back. And Durin's like, oh, maybe.
Yep. I like how dark they're trying to be. She's like, Durin, your dad is a bastard, and it doesn't matter who he says who can wear the crown, but we'll make you wear the crown, Durin. Strokes his little cheeks.
Yes.
You'll be my little king.
Your father is a lice-bearded retard, Durin. You're the prince, Durin. You must do what's right, Durin.
Your father is a traitor to the people, Durin. He must die.
Like, it actually annoys me because as much as I hate Black Dwarven Princess, if from a lore perspective, I liked her and the way of her acting. She was one of very few actors in the show that I actually kind of liked. And
oh god, yeah.
Now she too is just Grima Wormtongue. And okay.
She is kind of in this case, but at the same time, even though she's Grima Wormtongue, like Disa, her actress, like compared to Galadriel.
Oh yeah.
Oh god. Galadriel's actress, I don't know if it's the material they've given her or what, she just looks like a plank staring soullessly off the screen half the time. Versus Disa, looks like she's putting her heart into it.
Yeah, like, at least from Disa's point of view, this makes sense, you know? Because in this retarded universe where Mithril's the only thing keeping the elves alive, and they have proof that Mithril keeps the elves alive because they put the crack cocaine next to a leaf, and the leaf is like, I am healthy now, which is the dumbest fucking thing to.
Don't worry about it.
But from their perspective, it makes sense. They can save the elves, and they've got to save the elves. They've got to save their friend. Like, okay, but man, it's built on the fundamentally flawed premise of Mithril being this magic bullshit metal that is the only thing that's going to keep the elves alive, and if they don't get it, all of the elves are going to die tomorrow.
Yep. I don't know what to make of this whole, like, the whole fucking Mithril thing. I just can't get over that. Like, I just don't care. Like, Mithril doesn't make elves not die in the lands of Middle-earth. The thing is, the light of the, I forget what they call it, the Landir, or whatever the fuck the word is, but the light of the elves is fading in Middle-earth, and it's always going to be fading until we get to the Third Age, where eventually they slowly continue to leave. And even after that, they still continue to trickle, even though there's some elven kingdoms remain.
And again, it is the reductivist idea. It's not that they're fading. It's not the magic of the Valar who is fading out. It's not that they have to go west, etc., or that there's just some kind of calling. No. It's fucking rocks. It's rock. You know, if they don't get their rock, they're gonna die.
They've turned Mithril unironically into a MacGuffin.
Yes.
For that story arc, a pointless MacGuffin resource.
It's like they've ruined the dwarves with Mithril. They've ruined the elves and the dwarves with Mithril. They've ruined the Southland storyline, which basically doesn't even exist anymore now. They've ruined Galadriel. And as the best part, Galadriel was all like, "Oh, the great enemy is over here. The great enemy is over here. We must go." Now she's like, "I wish we never went." Bitch.
Yep.
Like, God damn it. And the Southlanders, like, we have our king now. And then the king rides off because he needs his medicine. And they're cheering him, like, strength to the king. So the king leaves. Oh my god.
Oh, this show is not. I don't even know. I don't even know what to make of this show. Like, we knew it was going to be a train wreck. It was just really boring.
Like,
and then we get to the climax. It was bad.
Up until this point, we'd just been sitting here and going like, yeah, but surely you're gonna do something soon, right? And now that they've finally done something, now that the plot has finally started to move, I hate every single solitary plot point. They're all bad. Which is an achievement in and of itself.
Yeah, they fucked up the one strong, or what would we say? The one strongest point of the show, which was the bromance. That was the only reason I still will even care about any of the scenes is because of that. But even then, that's already been kind of fucked up because the plot is so stupid. It's hard to care about it anymore.
Like now I'm actively antagonistic. Like previously, I was just meh. What the fuck is this boring shit? Now I hate it. Now I actually hate it. All of the little things. The scene with the horse. Like, you just want to have like a laugh track. You just want to have a laugh track of the horse screaming Massa as it runs over the hills.
Yep. It's dumb. This show is dumb. And I kind of really hope that the next episode is going to be our last. Because I really, I want them to be like, yeah, we renewed it for a bunch of seasons, but we pulled the plug anyways.
You know, this was, oh god.
It was bad.
Again, previously it was either just bad or boring or uninteresting. This is an insult. Like, this is an active insult is what this is.
We got to definitely, I would say, the worst episode so far.
Oh yeah. No, this was a
Without
terrible
a
episode.
doubt.
Like an unremittingly terrible episode.
Oh, I don't even want to. I do not want to know what's gonna happen next, because everything is set up in such a really bad way for the season finale. Because the season finale comes up in the next one. This is supposed to be the big bang now, the big send off to get you excited for the next season, and I don't even want to look at it. I just don't care. It's so bad.
I unironically hate it. Like, I unironically hate it. Right? Yep. No, that's a good spot to end it. I hate it. Like,
it sucks.
I just hate it. If the show's goal was to evoke emotion in me, congratulations, you have succeeded.
At least they have something.